All right, Yogi. So I'm going to start us laying right on the bolster. If you need to add anything, it depends on where you're at in the temperature, right? I'm pretty warm already. I went for a nice long walk. So if you're a little cold, you might need extra warm up exercises. But this is still very doable in the beginning. Okay. So we're going to start on our back yogis, yoga core, right? So right in the start, they're stimulating the core. Notice my hips are on the floor. My hips are not lifted, okay? And I'm just gonna lay here just for a few moments. We did this on Sunday. This is actually subtly different, but I'm not gonna have you hold this too long. It's just to kind of stretch out. What does this posture represent? It's kind of like your cow posture, where we take a nice spinal extension. Take a couple deep breaths. I can stretch a little actively, reach into the back of the room. A really good way to start yoga, guys, is that decompressive, whether you're standing or laying, you kind of reach your arms to the back, get a little length through the core, finding some space in the hips, underarms, ribs. So yogis, this action is cat-cow, okay? It's just done in a slightly resisted form. So I'm gonna take a block between my thighs because I like a little activation. And I'm gonna take the hands, the elbows on the block would be, the bolster would be an assist. So I'm just gonna do a little sit up. You see that my hips are down? This is cat. I could even do more pelvic tilt. Bring my tailbone up, inhale, drape my upper back a little bit over the bolster, and exhale. So if this is too much, just do normal cat-cow, okay? Inhale, exhale. I'm going nice and slow, right? Not really worried about peak strength. Inhale, exhale. Yogis, when I first learned this, it was from a physical therapist years ago. He was doing it with like elderly people with not strong cores, right from the start. This is safe, right? Right from the start in the morning, your body has to activate. So you don't want to get too stuck in the process of having to warm it up too much, okay? So I'm doing this nice little cat, rounding, chin towards chest, forehead towards knees, arching, okay? And then you just get into it. It might not be easy, especially if it's your first time. If you want a little more, your hands can go behind your head. You can kind of go slower and pulse in mid-range tensions. But get into it. Let me give you another like 30, 45 seconds. I learned this on this was from like spinal rehab. When you think about it, you're getting extension tension. That's kind of rare. When you're doing cat-cow, it's just like this movement thing. There's no there's not really much strength building unless you squeeze a lot in the end ranges. But on this one, you're actually, when your body's going into cow, the back bend, you get this tension resistance. Tension kind of means like as a muscle lengthens, let's say, it has to be strong. Whereas compression strength, sometimes called as it's shortening, it has to be strong. So this is like a really good one to remember. We haven't done it in weeks. If you want a strong, healthy core and you're used to cat-cow, I wouldn't do this with somebody who doesn't do cat-cows probably. So that's a good first round. We're gonna do one more round of that and add a complexity. You guys feel that pretty good, right? Now, I want you to notice, sometimes you feel it in your upper abs a lot. You're always breaking muscles down to quadrants. I sometimes talk about it like glutes, and but you have like upper quadrants of your abs, lower, you have outer, and you're very like center. Just notice that, like, where does your abs hit? You're trying to bring a lot of that work into the lower abdomen if it's high here, okay? All right, let's get off of there. Now, take a moment, sit up, lay on the floor. Now we move legs. That was all spinal, and I stay forward and back, guys. Forward and back usually is, in any tension or work, forward and back is safer to start. Now, lower back, do your little circles, do your little whatever you need to do here, you know, these little things, you know, your little movements at your pace. All regulars, I'm not going to tell you those again. So it looks like this to start. You're just kind of keeping your lower back down, starting to move the legs, okay? Starting to move the hips. Notice I'm starting to straighten the legs a little bit more. More tension would be legs going more forward. Yogis, the main goal is to keep your lower back down. Lower back does not arch off the floor, okay? You could add a couple double legs if you're ready. That's going to be more. Easier is bent knee like this. Yogis, we're right into it today, okay? It is safe, just go slower. And if you have something going on, you haven't trained your core in a month or two, you need extra caution. You know, when you're training and practicing conditioning your body regularly, once your warm-up, once your warm-up evolves. So once you are in condition, you can do things that normally you would do later in practice earlier, right? And then what you do later evolves as well, okay? So you're doing your little leg movements forward and back, right? What do you think's next? We got to do back body. You moved your hips, your leg swings, you moved your posterior tilt, your pelvis tilts, your legs, and your spine. Now we got to do our bridges. All right, we always have to do bridges. It's our most fundamental glute exercise. So the next thing is feet under the hip, under the knees. Some days you can go fast, up and down in bridge, like pulsing it up, thrusting it up. Some days it's slower, right? What does your body need? What do you always do? How can you make it an intelligent decision here? You're feeling really good, you go right for one leg. One-legged bridge is a therapeutic used in rehab without warm-up. Let's do the back body now. The bridge. If you want a little extra, if you have a band, you put it around your thighs. You could do a block between your thighs here, not always. You could hold, that might be the safest and most basic. Let's work here, guys. Bridge work. If you're just coming in, we're going through some fundamentals. Right, we started with abs, spinal flexion extension. We do all this stuff exactly in tabletop. Right, if you want to see this stuff, yogis, in a different form, look, we started like this, right? Then we did like leg swinging like this. This would be glute though, by the way. Plank would be really like the leg swing. We're basically doing all this stuff. And then cobra, right? Bridge. If you notice, this is bridge position. It's literally all the same stuff, just done in a different way. So your body's actually very used to it all, but it's a little curve on that stuff you're used to. So you have to think more and your body has to adapt. Okay, so we did some nice back body. What do you think next? We can get into a complex plane. I like to start with twist. You know, a lot of people start laterals. I do that sometimes first. We stand up with side bend. But I like to get into the twist now. And I'm gonna do a simple one to start. Okay, now less range is safe. It is more safe, guys, okay? So I bring the knees into the chest, I grab the block, I bring the arms wide. I inhale my knees over to the side. I am not worried about range. It is not better to go deeper. You increase risk, okay? And I go over to the second side. I pause, I roll the opposite ribs down, pull the belly in. If my back was bothering me, I would say go an inch or two, yogis. When I work with someone personally, I will push here and I'll say, pull back into my knees.
or pull back into my hand, right? Sometimes I'll push here and I'll say, you push into my hand, right? So you can get extra resistance. Not really easy to do that without a person, but you can try that, like your opposite hand on the outer top knee, and you push into it a little, and your knees push into the hand. You could feel that extra work. Yeah, as you get into it, guys, you can move a little bit more, really slow.
So I want to give you a minute to close your eyes now, nothing to look at. You know, yoga, right? Presence. What are we working on, yogis? We're working on dropping in mentally where our internal self-awareness becomes more profound than external awareness. You can still sense the environment. You can hear me. Hopefully your eyes are closed, but you can hear me. But most awareness is internal sensation. Okay, so you're practicing, remembering internal self-awareness is stronger than external sensory awareness. Okay, that's how you're doing your exercise. It's not just like do the exercise, it's connect mind to body. And then it's connect mind to breath, and it's connect more breath awareness. Okay, so that's a pretty big one. I'm not going to have you stretch right now. Now we got to go lateral. So when I think lateral, really, you know, I'll think glute medius first, pelvic tilt. I really won't think side waist initially. So what's the number one on a lot of EMG charts? I said this before. What's the number one lateral glute medius? It's side plank with leg lift, right? But on that list, in easy form is this. It's a second round of leg movement in a lateral plane. It looks like this on my side. You're feeling good? Boom. Don't wait. Just go right for this, because this is actually in beginner round 2. You can do this cold. It just depends on where you're at, right? I suggest for most of us probably, boom, lift that leg, get that glute. Okay? Notice my knee is not in front of me. I'm not curled into a ball. I'm in a nice long body here. Lateral leg lifts. You're not going to get much height, guys. See how I'm like down on my shoulder, I'm patting the head if I need. That's my basic. It is enough. Yogis, I do lateral leg swings all the time, even though I can do side plank easy. It depends on where I'm at. This is going to be a lot more. Full side plank is going to be more. You know, just to be clear, guys, I talk about EMG charts. We studied a certain collection of exercise physiologists, and there are a lot of debating in these. You look, search, you just do it. Search EMG charts, glute max, let's just say. You'll see a lot of different information, like, you know, and it depends on the person, right, that they study in the group. So we're going to do our second side, just one round, right? It's warm up. You're not trying to go for max here. Like say glute max. I always say pistol squats number 1 because of some EMG charts say that. But you'll see other EMG charts where single leg squats like 3 maybe or 4. And then you'll see, it depends on like the range that they're building. Just so we're clear, I talk about EMG charts a lot, and I never give the disclaimer that a lot of EMG charts will say different. EMG charts that I studied, side plank with the abduction, like lifting the leg, that's like number 1 for glute medius, your outer hip muscle. The point is, do this a lot. And that's why I choose side plank in most classes, because we just get so much for our time. You can notice the difficulty, right? It's a very difficult exercise. So when you're done there, yogis, you should feel it like right here. Like it's tight now. right? Just like this would make the bridge would make this tight. You know, the crunches would make this tight, and then the leg swings would make this tight. So we've tightened here, here. We've tightened this, more of a release. We've tightened here and here, okay? So I want to tighten here, here more, okay? Tighten is kind of like a bad word for it. Strengthen, right? So here we go. Hamstring. This is a dynamic hamstring release before we do the hamstring tension, guys. Right hand behind right hamstring. You're working on activating your quad and your shin, flexing your foot and straightening the knee. Inhale, bend knee. It's a little bit more of a stretch and an activator. Flex that foot, yogis. Engage the thigh. It's knee extension. Pull. Flex both feet. Inhale, bend. Exhale. Come on. Engage your leg, even if you have to do it without the grip. Inhale. Exhale. Come on. Quad. Go. Get going. See, today is not like you're not going to get as much cardio type work like we do in some of them. So tomorrow might be a good cardio stretch day because you're going to get a good amount of strength in this one. So what should I do tomorrow for my dharma of my body, my duty? I should probably move it a lot more, sweat more, heart rate increase more, breathe, and then maybe stretch more, you know? So tomorrow's like movement cardio day, probably for a lot of us. Or active recovery day, you know, foam rolling and stretching. So I want you to do that side and then boom, just do the other side. All right. I need you to like work here, yogis. This is a little like sticky place. Everything we've done so far, like literally every exercise is physical therapy and body recovery, rehab. If there's a class to like remember for yoga core, this is a good one. Okay. For like true core work. Because I'll start you in squats and hinges, and that's all core, but you know, that's more like leg day. Yeah, shake it out if you need. Try to use that quad to straighten your knee more and the resistance of the hamstring. And a lot of times in like the most power yogas, right, you're basically doing this, yogis, right? You're like this right now. You're bending and then you're straightening more. A lot of times I'll have you do it here, like super power. That helps. This helps develop those weight-bearing forms, okay? So listen, now we got to do hamstrings. If you have a blanket and you can do sliding, do that instead of what I'm about to do. But this is a little bit more of the beginner. It's bridge, second round, but more length means more hamstring tension. Remember that bridge? Hamstrings cross two joints, hip and knee. The first bridge got more of the hip hamstring up here. Got it? Now this one's going to start to go behind the knee. This is for beginners. Go slow. Lift up in the bridge. I keep moving forward. You just lengthen your hamstring. Now it's taking the tension. I walk my feet 3 to 6 inches forward. Look at the feet. They are flexed. My feet are not down. Watch the feet. Boom. I lift in the bridge with my feet more forward. Okay, that's too easy for some of us. My feet walk 6 more inches forward. I'm telling you to put your feet more forward. Then lift. Squeeze the heels to the shoulders. You're feeling it in the back of the legs. Right there. Hamstring. Okay? Okay, it's easy. No big deal. I got more for you. Legs go 3 more inches forward. You're actually working towards almost being straight or straight. I'm in bridge. And I'm pulling my heels. Watch my yoga mat if you can. It's like I'm pulling. See it? Okay, you can do it like that, right? That's what I said sliding bridges.
Remember, hamstrings are literally your lower back, okay? Get into it, yogis. Do a couple rounds. Trying to look up superficial back line for you guys.
See if I can find this here. I don't know if you can see this. Look, this is called your superficial back line. It's a certain collection of muscles that connect on a certain depth. I don't know if you can see. Let's see here. So if you want to see this, yogis, it's key. Visuals are key. Look at this. Calves. Remember how I say always strengthen your calf? There's a fascial band. I don't know if you can see it. That's your hamstrings right there. Back of your legs. That's the back of your body. There's a fascial band. Look, it runs deep under your glutes and it connects right through your deepest lower back muscles, the arch. Your hamstrings and your calves are literally connected directly to lower back. Okay, look at it, it's connected to your back of your neck. That's why I say strengthen your calves a lot, because it's connected to the back of your neck and the whole spinal erectors that keeping you upright. Okay, so look at that. Hamstrings, you're going to feel it right in your lower back because it's literally one band. Look this up. Superficial back line. That's it. All right, that's the first image on Google. Look at it, guys. Do a little studying a couple times a week about some of this stuff. It'll help your progress, and it'll reinforce why we're doing this stuff, and you'll want to do it more, okay? Okay, guys, you're done. So you should feel it back here a lot, right? We tightened up here, here, here. I want to go back to the abs one more good time here, yogis. And I want to try here again. If you don't have a pillow, you can just do this on the back, no big deal. But this is nice because it gets the extra extension. So we combine things, leg swing, crunch, rotate. So this is classic fitness training. There's a lot of just logic here today. So it looks, we did this in the beginning, right? Slow, crunch, okay? It's a cat-cow again, right? Now, what do we add? Right hand behind the right ear, left foot hovers. I'm not alternating. I'm side to side. I tap the toe, twist. Right knee goes forward. It doesn't go out. It goes forward. Right elbow goes open a little. Chest dips over bolster. Twist. You got to go slow, yogis. Yogis, I'm going like this, right? Look. Really slow. Remember that slow movement, yogis, is better. Basically, once you can go slow, then you can start to go fast. Slower is going to be better for muscle contraction on the average person. That's not always the truth, but I want to do some fast twitch, but you guys don't really have to run from any lions anymore, right? So, that's secondary, but the problem is a fast movement does stimulate new neuroplasticity. We have to have these exercises that keep your brain young, right? So stimulating different patterns throughout our neuroplastic complex. And fast twitch is going to be a good way for yogis to do that, to move a little faster here and there, to keep the brain young. Okay, can we do the second side? Remember, I really want you to focus on bringing the shoulder to the hip. I said elbow to knee, but it's more like this deep part of us, like right here. We've done this standing, look. I've literally had to do this a few times. Last week, I think we did something like this. We do half moon, okay? We do this type of stuff. We do this type of stuff. Shoulder towards head, okay? Same stuff, yogis. And you can just do symmetrical too, right? You don't have to twist right now. And this is going to make like your neck tight possibly. Just notice that and give a little release. I'm just trying to give you extra time because I still see a lot of you going. When I see most of you rest, I kind of move forward here, okay? So, you came from, I have one more thing I'd like you to do here on the back, just so we're like super well-rounded. I'll skip rotations today, or else we'll spend the whole class on our back here. I want to get you up in the plank, and I do want to do a little bit of balance, transverse abdomen. So you're going to finish that up, yogis, and you're going to make your way off of your bolster. So we got to switch planes, right? Back to lateral. We've really only done like true lateral once, right? So I want to get one more. This is the tough one. There are other ways to do this. You could do straight this. You could do a inner foot side plank. We call it fallen triangle. The goal is to activate our adductors. Easiest in gentle yoga, you might do something like this. We've done this. Adductor tension length, squeeze together. We did some blocks, but it's really not adequate. Right foot in front, I'm on my left. Left foot straight. You are not going to get much range. Don't roll forward, yogis. We've done that before, but this is not that. I'm lifting the inner thigh. You see the bottom leg? This one's tough. Remember that. So you're on your back and you're basically doing this, yogis. Inner thigh is lifting the leg up, lifting the outer leg up. You can do side plank, like I said, on the inner leg, so your bottom leg wouldn't be down. That's weight bearing. Love that one. Warrior two works here. Inner thigh press down. It's not going to be a big movement. Look, everyone I can see looks good. Nice, Brian, Stephen, Dessa. Move, yeah, and then inner thigh of second leg. After this, we're going to come up and do some kind of plank area, a little weight bearing, a little chaturanga, kind of loosen, move everything around. All that stiff tension you're creating. Core day can be like an achy day, right? It can be like a kind of you're squeezing a lot and you're tension a lot through here, lower back. Looks good. Somebody is still going. I'll give you another few moments. I do want to get moving forward here because we're a little over halfway through. So remember, the average person's not good at activating the groin. So it's going to be awkward and sticky, resistant, right? It's not going to be an easy thing to do. I hope I was clear. Maybe my demo, just in case, because I can't see everyone. I can only see a few. You're just basically doing that, right? And I like to hold. Sometimes they do the double like this. But remember, that won't let the inner thigh hit as hard. Okay? We've done this. It's going to be more here. Okay? Inner thighs are kind of like a tough thing to train in general. Kind of think of some other options here. Anything where this inner thigh is working, okay? So let's get out of there. Do your second side, hopefully. So basically what you do now is you take a happy baby or a plow, maybe a little stretch. If you need a twist, if you need a figure four, let me give you 30, 45 seconds to kind of mentally digest all your reclining work. And a soothing moment, please. Yeah, some of you are already upright, a couple of you are in tabletop. That's where we're going to meet. Basically, we're going to go to tabletop. You take moments there. And then we're going to really meet in down dog type position. Child pose would be easiest. Headstand would be stronger. All right, so eventually we're in more of a familiar territory. You're still kind of in feel good mode, down dog, cat cows. And I'm going to eventually here bring you into a plank type position. Okay. So just so you know where we're headed, if you want to hold handstand at the wall, if you want to do some push-ups, now would be a good time. Today's a push-up day for me. Yesterday was like a pull day. Did some pull-ups, did some down up pulls, and what else did I do? Back fly. So today's another push day, right? So some of you is doing child pose and dog, some of you are already in plank. It's all regulars, right? So you just did a half an hour of basic strengthening. So if you need a little extra therapeutics right now, good idea. But if you're feeling good, boom, let's get the plank pose. Balancing plank would be really unstable. Left leg hovers, right arm forward. Therapeutic would be same thing on the knee. Really, mid ground is just hold a high or forearm plank or add a few push-ups. That's mid ground. It's not super challenging. And therapeutics is also on the knees and on the forearm plank, gentle plank. Okay. Let me give you a good minute to work in this area. Some of you are still in down dog. That's cool. Come on, get your plank in. Remember, it's a really good exercise to kind of slow down everything. We did hip flexors, core, back, thighs, and now it's kind of like all connecting. All right. Nice. See, everyone's doing a little different things. Remember, yogis, if you don't signal strength response regularly, your bones will deteriorate. Strength is first. You can stretch a lot once you strengthen enough. That's the key. That's yoga 101, right? We go from tamasic. This is the gunas. This is Samkhya philosophy. It's where yoga comes from. The oldest yoga scriptures say the inactive must go to the active, the very active, but then you're going to be challenged because you're like too active. A lot of people are overactive, can't sit still. That's not healthy either. Underactive is not healthy, couch potato. But then you learn to exercise. That's first, like activate, turn the body on. But then that becomes unhealthy when it's too imbalanced, and it's called sattva. It's the balance, it's the harmonizing and the controlling of the energy. Going from tamasic to rajasic is first. Active is first. Once you're active enough, then you can slow down again. Strength is first. That's yoga. All right. But the meditative active person, that's the key. The sattva, it's called. That's like the end goal. Meditative, the harmonizer of the two. But the one who's underactive must go to active first. Explore both, okay? So it looks like a lot of you are done there. Now, yogis, I want to do our lower back. We're not going to do too much down here today. So we really didn't do lower back. Bridge is hamstrings. And that's like why people call it lower back. Bridge is glutes, okay? We got to do the straight lower back arch. It looks like this. Belly in, point toes. This is usually the one class a week where I really hammer this home, okay? Am I moving a lot? No. Am I moving fast? No. You can't see it, but I'm trying to pull my abdomen in. Yogis, you're going to feel this kind of tighten, right? That's what we're targeting right here. Lower back. If you lift your legs, it goes more to legs and middle back. You can do that, but I do want you to know there's a difference. If you just lift your arms and head and chest, it's more lower back. If you lift your legs with your upper body, it shifts to the lower back tends to hit less. That's EMG charts. Okay. That's, the significant lower activation of your lower back when you lift your legs. That's not the case for everyone, right? If you're good at this, you're aware, you can slow down, have your internal awareness more potent than external awareness. You will notice this stuff. Like if we're doing the whole back line right now, locust can be that pose that kind of gets almost everything done, right? You point your toes, you're getting your calves. Hamstrings are in a lengthened position. You won't get too much lower hamstring, but if you lift that hip, lift the femur from the hip, you'll get hamstring. But it's more likely that a lot of things are going to be disengaging and lazy. Okay, so that's why we go isolate. You're guaranteed to hit lower back. Peak of class right here. And what do they say? Sitting makes your lower back weak. And what's sitting? If you need to take a break, because I'd like you to do 2 rounds. Look at it. It's the opposite. Look, feet flex, knees bent, hips flex. Look. That's the unhealthy sitting, right? So you're doing the opposite. You're like this. And you're training this because you're here too much. You're going to get a lot of release here too. Okay, can we do one more round? Yogis, there's fancy versions here if you know them, okay? But I'll keep it simple because this is one of the more risky areas. Do you have an exercise to strengthen your lower back arch? I often ask people that, and they'll say I do bridge. And I'm like, well, actually that doesn't strengthen the lower back directly. It's more of like an indirect because it's hamstring and glute. This is like, there's mixed opinions on this exercise. You hear a lot of people saying, don't do this. It's kind of too risky. But when you're studying the EMGs, that's the most kind of objective information. How do we activate lower back? Activation is how you strengthen. So if this is number 1 on EMG chart, it's like a repetitive active cow. Your back's going like this. That's how I get my information. I can get this subjective stuff all the time from trainers and therapists, but I've done this 1,000 times. It's the information merged with the experience. That's the key to the best method. If you're a doctor and you go to med school, you can't just take information and help people. You need to be in clinic for like 4 or 5 years, right? You need the experience too, before they let you work with people. If you never go to med school and you just work with people, you're going to make so many mistakes and errors, be dangerous. Experience alone is not enough. It's the information merged with experience that makes you professional, that you can give the recommendation. You put your trust in doctors who have both. It's not one or the other. The best lower back trainer is probably this for the average person. In case you want one more, the point is this is a unique exercise. Just so you know, this is the opposite of what we did. Look, this isn't really for beginners. I'm using the bolster, look, passive cow, cat, hyper cow, right? Look. That is going to be more. I should have said that in the beginning. I've showed this before. It's been a while. Okay. That's really good one, guys. Okay. If you want the super strong back. All right. I got to keep going. Take child pose. We got to make our way up to standing. That's it for today. On the chest, front body, back body, mostly symmetry. You can add things if you want. We're going to stand up, please. We don't really need to do down dog and touch our toes because we did this. We overstretch the hamstrings. Okay, so let's meet in standing, yogis. I want to do our transverse abdominal trainer. It's the opposite of what you just did, right? It's this. So it's arms up. We really should be doing this a little bit more often, okay? The whole key is to pull your belly in.
That's the deepest layer. Pull it in, skinny your waist, forward and back, sides in and up, arms up, left knee lifts. Pull your belly and lift your knee, pull your belly and lift your knee, straighten your bottom knee, and then boom. Pause. You are literally practicing skinnying your waist, guys. You're literally just pulling in, okay?
And then you get into it, guys. Remember, the arms up is key, okay? Because it's going to help that more compound lift. I've said this before. Muscles that are weak tend to get stuck long. No spinal stabilization. Muscles, this is the balance. People who get muscles that are strong tend to be stuck short. So what does that mean for transverse abdomen? If the muscle fibers run this way and are stuck long, the waist goes like this. Right? Muscles that are stuck short, hug in. This happens. The tighter this gets, in. Okay? What happens if spine is too tight? Well, you have thousands of little muscles connecting your spinal vertebrae. Stuck short, compression. Too tight, not enough movement. Too many crunches, not enough mobility. Muscles, the transverse spinal processes, stuck long, no spinal stabilization, right? Spinal disc injuries. So it's a tough balance, yogis. All right, so you did your transverse abdomen trainer, okay? Go like this a little bit to loosen up that plane, because that's also transverse abdomen. If we don't do that, I have you do stuff like this. Okay, this is a transverse abdomen trainer. And we did one on the back earlier. So you did your 2 rounds for the transverse abdomen. I need a squat. I'm gonna do lateral, glute medius, second round. If there's another one we wanna do, cool. But I wanna go lateral, which means my feet should be together because we're focusing on our coronal plane, right? I'm gonna go like this. My left foot hovers. I'm getting my tonic exercise in. We're killing multiple birds with one stone, right? Left leg out. You already did it. Left foot hovers. Left foot out, belly in, left foot hovers. I've had you do this. It's kind of the same. Look, you have to hit, stabilize laterally, push laterally, stabilize laterally. Got it? I like this one a lot. Okay? You just did front, right? Hip flexor. So it's an abductor. It's the opposite chain. If we were to stay with the chain, it'd be inner thighs. Okay? Now, remember, this is actually both hips twice. So it's really like 3 rounds. You laid on your side and you did this. Okay? Now, second leg, boom. I need the chair. Can't really do yoga without doing the squat. This is our squat. Okay? Get into it, yogis. I was looking for this here. Remember, this is what I talk about, the bands? This is better. Same exercise. Resist, pause. You can also do it like this, right? I mentioned that side plank is best at glute medius. A lot of people use this. They say that side plank is better, a lot of the EMG charts, because they do banded lateral walks. Little posterior, you can do this for glute max. Okay, if you don't have these little bands, make sure you get them, please, because they're really good. You can take them on vacation. You can bring them like anywhere, and it can strengthen your hips a lot in a very easy way. You can just stand up. You don't have to lay on the ground and do it. You could be out at a park and you just do that. Okay, you don't have to do bridges. All right. So listen, there's your lateral. Go like this a little bit. Nice job there. You're feeling it here, right? Look, we came from here, the antagonist, back bend, forward bend. We did here and here. Here, I do want to do one big twist, yogis. I'm going to do a mobility drill. We did a big half on the back, straight this. We did this, big mobility drill. It's teaching your body to move. Warning, we've tightened up a lot. Move slow to start. Bend knees, inhale, exhale. Move, I want you to move because we've been really sticky, tight, okay? You could do something like this instead. If you don't feel like bending over, starting to pivot in your hips, this would be an easier, more free movement. Pivot, push, pull. Really easy would be this still. You just kind of did that. I want you to twist repetitively 20 times each side at least. Move your body a lot more than we've done, okay? If you have back pain, bending over is more risky, right? That's our hinge of practice. This is a hinge too, right? Leg swings could be considered a hinge. But we didn't do much hinging. We did reverse hinging, which was your cobras. Now you're going. Okay, we're here in the end, yogis. So almost done. I want to try something. The calf raise now, just a nice simple neutralizer. Just lift your heels and down. A couple of those. If you're feeling really good, just be easy because this can strain the calf. This can strain your foot. You get sole of the foot pain. Lift, lower, lift. Notice my knee is bent, yogis. I ain't no straight leg here probably, right? Okay, it's a little much. What do? You get a little something to hold on to, right? Look. That's a lot easier. You see how much my calf turns on? I just showed you the superficial back line. We haven't done calf raises in a while, and I'm doing a little calf raise, okay? Last 30, 40 seconds. If you're doing one leg, please do the other. Now, I'll usually do calf raises like, it depends where I'm at, in the journey. Sometimes I'll forget, and then I have to do it 3-4 times in the week. Remember, it's a special muscle. It's kind of like your forearms and abs. You can do that stuff more often. Your forearms you can train like every day, right? Your calves can too, because you do train them every day. You walk on them. Usually I'll do calf raises twice a week, about. Sometimes once a week with weight. If I'm doing them twice a week, one day would be bent probably, one day would be straight leg. All right. Only one of the days I'll probably do single leg because it can really strain the inner arch of the foot. All right. Just some food for thought there. You don't want your feet to start bothering you because then you can't really do much. Okay. So listen, guys, I want a nice balance work. What are you working on in your balance? Do you want to do something? It's been a pretty tough class, okay? So someone wanting to go easy, you just hold your tree posture. If you want a little bit more strong tree, some people call it, this or this, really working, okay? If you want to go big, you could do Warrior 3. That's a favorite of mine in general. You could do something like a half moon. You could do something like a revolved moon. You could do a figure 4 chair. I basically want you on one foot. If you want to try something today, it's tree, but it's the half lotus. It's a nice hip stretch. My left knee will lift. It's like I go to tree. Last standing pose, yogis. The knee closes. Knee closes. Keep the knee closed. Right hand out of left foot. Right hand top of left foot. Knee stays closed. Left knee opens. Don't do this though. Look. Stand up. Last standing posture, guys. Right? Our first balance was this. Our second balance was this. And then third balance. Nice. I like that one too. You know, you can line up your 2 feet with your eyes closed. That's a really great one.
There is the crazy stuff. I don't think I ever teach it much here, but the heel balance, you start bent over hinge and you go on your heels, right? And then you work on standing up on your heels. Come back down is easier. Look how unstable I am, right? Heel balance is like advanced balance. I usually start you like this. 1 foot, toe and heel. I have you do toe balance all the time. You just kind of did that, right? Well, I get you here. Toe balance. Then there's heel balance, okay? Eventually you go to outer edge of the foot balance. I don't really teach that much either because it can make it can strain stuff very easy. It's very athletic, the outer edge of the foot balance, okay? So make sure you do your second side now because I got 9:54. I'm basically gonna call it after this and we're just gonna do a stretcher 3. If you wanna do any more, you know, we'll do a little abs on Thursday. And most classes I'll mix in a little abs, right? So I'm gonna skip any more abs from here. I think we've challenged our back and core enough. And now you get a stretcher 3. You guys done? Yeah, audio still going. Yeah, Brian, you let that knee fall all the way down. Yeah. I mean, unless you're doing that on purpose, that can be a version there. Yeah, all the way down. So if you had a couple minutes to add a stretch or two, how would you approach it? You know, this class particularly is a lot of tension around hips, legs, and then a lot of tension around core, torso. So I would probably say release in each of those. That's kind of classic yoga. You do a pigeon and you do spinal twist, right? And then you touch your toes. I like to put more complexities in there. You know, I think pigeon is overdone and spinal twist is the same. And then touch your toes is like the same too, right? Those 3 together are great, but they're kind of repetitive and you've done too much. So how can we be a little more well-rounded, right? So let's make our way down to the ground. I would think a quick yogi squat might be good after all that upright standing. You bend the knees nice and deep. Most of us already did straddle, right? You did this. So you don't really need to go here. Plus you already stretched your hamstrings and reciprocated your adductors so many times. You don't really need to go here. I would think maybe a big front body stretch because we didn't really do it. You know, what did we do? Bridge to lengthen front body. We didn't do lunges. So I like something like this, virasana. I mean, it's core, it's hips, it's legs, you know, it's chest. It's a big stretch to get a lot done here. My butt is right between the heels. I'm leaning back. My knees are together. It's tough to see, okay? My back is arched. If you want to do a nice soft pose, guys, you could do, we did this in the beginning, but I know a few of you maybe, you know, didn't do it on the bolster. You do something like this. I want to teach you guys, I want to give you the opportunity to practice making decisions. There's 1,000 stretches right now you could do. Why are you doing it? Is it just a pattern and because you don't slow down and think of other options? Most likely the stretch you need is the one you do the least. So try to think like that. You know, it's good to have routines and obviously it's so important. Like intelligent people do what they love and it feels good, right? That's a very important quality, but that can be taken too far. And you end up being a couch potato and watching Netflix all the time. So you gotta make like the difficult choice sometimes in stretching too, not just in the strength, okay? So some of you are doing one side, let's do the other because we're gonna have time for one more little stretch after this. Nice, a little lunge is good there, Stephen.
like that. Lunge is not often thought as a back bend, right? But it is. It's anterior tilt, spinal extension, hip extension. So it's almost like a cobra. Nice. Now, you're going to finish up that. A lot of you look like you're already to another stretch. You can go at your own pace. We already did, like, frog kind of did already. What's another good one that we do less of? Maybe like a medial rotator where you go like this. If you need something like legs up the wall, boom. If you need a therapeutic, taking that block under the base of the skull, if your neck was tense, just kind of traction the back of the neck, little massage for the back of the neck. Maybe you do want a shoulder release. Roll onto your side, top arm up behind you, lay on the arm. Remember this one? So good, we haven't been doing it much. But maybe you do need a pigeon or a Gomukhasana outer hips, right? Can we give you another minute and a half for a final stretch, yogis? And if you did do if you had back pain and you did do upright twisting, not hinging, this might be a really good one right now. So I do have 10 on the dot, just so you know where you're at. I'll give you another minute and we'll do just a few minutes calming together. So, you take one last little maybe symmetrical thing. You can touch your toes, lay on your back, give it a squeeze. And if you're going to extend your practice, take your time. No reason to end because I am. And it's good to extend the practice. Remember when yoga classes used to be 75 minutes, even 90 minutes? It is the end where you get like the most gain. So, when you're ready, it's just a neural centering, grounding, calming. They call it like the alpha brain. Remember, the internal awareness heightens more than external sensory stimulus. And you start to go, what's that? Theta brain, right? Where your inner dialogue is like really powerful. Like, remember, REM sleep is like theta. Delta is deep sleep. Remember, you have beta brain all day. Like I'm in beta brain while I'm teaching, like a very thinking mind. 14, let's call it 14 to 30 pulses per second neural. That doesn't really matter. So really high stress is like 30 pulses per minute. 14 is like the lower ends. Alpha is right below that, where the mind is kind of slows down. You settle. Theta brain is lower. It's like, remember, it's like 5 to 10 or 3 to 9. That doesn't matter. But theta is where there's a lot happening in the mind. Imagination, daydreaming, visualizing. The mind, the currents in the mind is very potent. Okay. REM sleep, right? Your mind is still busy, but body's asleep. Theta. Delta is deep sleep. Mind is asleep. If you go 0 pulses a minute, you're no longer with us, right? So the deep delta goes down to like 1 pulse a minute, or 1 pulse a second sometimes. Deepest sleep. So we're trying to get towards alpha theta. That's just the visual. Your brain goes calm, the body really calms, okay? Final meditation, a few minutes today.